Scary ways of punishment throughout the early Church Age and Middle Ages. Torture, the use of physical or mental pain, often to obtain information to punish a person or to control members of a group to which the tortured person belongs. One of the most painful forms of torture was boiling. This consisted of dunking the convicted person headfirst into boiling water, oil, or tar. This punishment was used mostly for cooks who would try to poison a higher authority. Mutilation also was offered as a form of punishment, not only for poisoners, but also thieves. Mutilation usually involved the removal of limbs, appendages, and the occasional beheading. This next form of torture was physically painful but even more excruciating from a social aspect, as the T-shaped pillory was placed in the middle of the town street for all to see. Other horrendous forms of pain-inflicted torture were eyes plucked out with hot pincher tools, stocks, and the all-popular ducking stool. Some good examples of real-life torture during this time would be the deaths of most of the apostles. First off, we have Philip. He served God in Galatia and Turkey. He was then crucified on a cross. We have prepared a little video to help picture a crucifixion. We have Peter. He ministered to Babylon and then to Rome, where he was crucified under Nero's reign. Peter asked to be crucified upside down because he did not want to be crucified like Jesus Christ. We flipped the previous video to hopefully help show you what it could have been like. Next up is Andrew. Andrew was also crucified, but was hanged on an X-shaped cross. This is where St. Andrew's cross comes from. Here's the next video clip.
Next, we have James the Greater. James was martyred 10 years after Stephen, and while he was going to his execution, it is said that he converted his accuser, who also was executed that day. Here we go with our next clip. Next is the Apostle John. He's the lucky one. John was the only disciple to die with a natural cause of death. He was exiled to Patmos as a form of punishment, however, and it is here that he wrote the book of Revelation. We don't quite have video for this one, partly because it would take forever for one of us to die of old age. Bartholomew is our next disciple. He was also called Nathaniel, and he has a very interesting couple of things that happened to him. First, he had sandals that never really wore out. As much as he walked, he never needed new ones. Secondly, before he was crucified, it is rumored that he was skinned alive. We tried to do a video for this, but Jeff wasn't too happy about the skinning. But here it is anyways.
I'm not too keen on this.
Thomas, or Doubting Thomas, is up next. Thomas was killed in India, where he was thrust through with a spear. It is interesting to think that the disciple that was known for doubting may have been the one that shared the gospel to the farthest reaches of the world. As some say, he may have even made it to China. Here's a quick video. Matthew is up next. He was martyred in Egypt after spreading the word to Ethiopia. He was killed with either an axe or a sword. There are a couple different stories about this, but it was a blade. We chose to do a video about the axe. It sounded more exciting. James the Younger was stoned to death, and could have possibly had his brains beaten out after his death. Before his death, he did become the first bishop of the Syrian church, however, but in the end, he was killed by his own people, the Jews. Here's the next video. Our next apostle is Jude. He was crucified around 72 AD. Before he was martyred, though, he had spread the word of God to Armenia, Syria, and into North Persia. And of course, there's Judas, but we all know what happened to him. Last but not least is Simon. His death is kind of questionable. There are really two stories of how he was martyred. It is possible that he was crucified, but there's also another story that says that he was sawn in two while in Persia. However, we are not really sure which story is true.